All right, so I'm back into my Jamboard. This was our previous image with the flow of the fluids. I'm going to skip to the next frame and then I'm going to have my heart. Now remember Miss Alyssy said that we're going to draw the heart that's in the PowerPoint. So what I'm going to do is I am really quickly going to go ahead and have my PowerPoint open. So I have two different windows. I'm going to split screen really quickly. That way what I'm going to do is I am going to make a key for myself really quick. So I need both of these window panes open. I'm going to come into here and then I am going to go ahead and make a key. So I'm going to take my text box. I know I'm going to need my Vena Cava. So I'm going to type in here. I'm going to need my Vena Cava. I'm going to make a new box. I'm going to need, move that. I'm going to need an aorta. Oh, my caps lock is on. I'm going to need an aorta. I'm going to need, what else? I know I'm going to need my atrium, so I'm going to need a right atrium. I'm going to need a left atrium. I'm going to need a left, I'm going to need a right, or I'm going to need a left ventricle. And then I'm going to need a right ventricle. Okay. I'm also going to need a tricuspid valve. So what I'm doing is I am just going to type what I need. Mitral valve. I'm going to need my aortic and my pulmonary. Aortic. And my pulmonary is pulmonary or pulmonic. Pulmonic. That way we can kind of keep those kind of two together. All right, and then right, left, vena cava, aorta, pulmonary valve. Oh, I need my pulmonary vein and my pulmonary artery. All right. So what I did is I went ahead and I have all the things I needed, right? I added my pulmonary vein. I added my pulmonary artery. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of this window now because I don't need it. I'm going to open that window up. So now I moved everything around. I made words smaller so I can see them. Now, something that I realized is kind of interesting, and things happen in groups of 4. So how many chambers of my heart do I have? I have 4. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm actually going to find my chambers, and I'm going to make them, I don't know, let's do red. Actually, no, let's not do red because I don't want to get confused with blood. So we're going to do green. So I'm going to do all of my chambers of my heart, my right atrium, my left atrium, my left ventricle, and my right ventricle. Those are all green. So everything that's green is a chamber. Now what I'm going to do is I also have 4 valves. Okay, so I'm going to make my valves blue, and I'm also going to number them over here. So I have 1. Oh, that's a bad number. Let's undo that. Whoop. All right, so I have that, and I'm going to make it blue. Okay, that needs to go green again. All right. Okay, so bump, blue, boom. All right, so I have 1 valve over here. I have a 2nd valve over here. I've got a 3rd valve, and then I have a 4th valve. So I have 4 valves. So I'm going to go ahead and make my valves a color. I'm going to make them blue. So I have my tricuspid valve, my mitral valve, my aortic valve, and then my pulmonic valve. And I'm going to put them in order. So my tricuspid valve is first. So the second valve, because it's going to go into the pulmonary, is going to be my pulmonary valve. So I'm going to put that in order there. So that's going to go below. And then from pulmonary, it comes into my heart, goes through my mitral valve, and then it goes out the body, or out of the heart into the body from the aortic. So I'm going to go ahead then and number those. So I'm going to do my blue, and I'm going to do the highlighter. So tricuspid is first. Pulmonic is second. Mitral is third. And then aortic is going to be the fourth valve. So those are my valves. So I've got 4 valves. And then I've got my vessels, though, that are going to move the blood around. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color my vessels. I'm going to color them gold. Gold? Yeah, gold. All right, so I've got a vena cava. My vena cava, I've got an aorta. I've got a pulmonary vein. And I've got a pulmonary artery. So I'm going to go ahead and make those gold. So let me go ahead then, and I am going to label or put them where they belong. So I know that my blood's going to come in through a vena cava. So here's a vena cava. And I actually have a superior and an inferior vena cava. If you guys want to, you can label the inferior and superior. It will not be on the exam, but in case you wanted to know, and label it superior. All right, so that's there. Then the aorta is this arch. So if you think about A for arch, we have our aorta. We've got our pulmonary veins are going to be right there, these 2 little ones. Let me actually just draw a little golden arrow. Okay. So the blood is going to go in that way. And I do have 2 pulmonary, right? Or 2 sections of that. So I can go ahead and bring that over here. I'll move my left atrium out of the way. So that's there. Okay. Those are them. All right. And then last but not least, I have the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery is pushing blood away from the heart into my lungs. All right, so here we are. Boom. My vessels are labeled. My 4 vessels that go transporting the blood. I've got my 4 valves labeled, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it kind of makes a spiral, if you will. And then they're there. Now I'm going to label the actual parts of my heart or my chambers. So if we follow, so I have first my right atrium is going to go right there. Then I have my right ventricle. Down here. Then I've got my left atrium. Up there. And then I have my left ventricle. All right, so now let me go ahead and I'm going to do the flow of blood. I'm going to do the blood flow in the black Sharpie so that way we can see it pretty well. All right, so my blood is going to enter into my heart from the body, all right? So body, boop. And remember, it's deoxygenated blood. It's going to flow into the right atrium via my superior vena cava. It then comes from my right atrium through that tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. From my right ventricle, it flows up through my pulmonic or my pulmonary valve into my pulmonary artery. From the pulmonary artery, it flows away from my heart and into my lungs. Okay. I take a big breath so that carbon dioxide rich blood now becomes oxygenated, right? So it's in my lungs and I go, so now I get a whole bunch of oxygen. It flows back into my pulmonary veins to my left atrium. From my left atrium, it goes through my mitral valve into the left ventricle. From the left ventricle, it goes up through the aortic valve and then through the aorta and out into the rest of the body again. Okay. So then that is the cycle or the flow of the blood. Now, if I wanted to represent the oxygenated and deoxygenated, right, I'm going to go ahead and write deoxygenated. I'm going to make that blue because if I'm deoxygenated, I don't have any oxygen on my hemoglobin. And then I'm going to make an oxygenated one, and we're actually going to put that on the right side, or because the left side of my heart is what is going to be oxygenated. And then guess what color I'm going to make that one? I'm going to make it red. Okay, so then if I want to, I can take the paintbrush, and the left part of my heart, remember, is going to be oxygenated. So this is going to be all oxygenated, and I can color in there so I know that that is all oxygen-rich blood. And that oxygen-rich blood is going to flow out of my aorta into my body. Okay, so that's all oxygen-rich blood. Then I've got my deoxygenated blood, right? My body uses its blood supply, uses the oxygen from the blood, comes into the right atrium, goes from the right atrium into the right ventricle, and then it's going to go ahead and pump up through the pulmonary artery and into the lungs so it can get oxygenated. And that is our flow of blood in the four-chambered heart.